And I feel like so many people were telling me to start food. Start food. Baby girl, you need to start a food business. You are so, because then I would make videos on my Snap. I don't know if it was Insta story. Okay, there was Insta story. I'll make and post on my Insta. People are like, start a YouTube, start a food business. That's the only thing you know. I remember one of my friend in Chedo. In Chedo said, that's the only thing I know that you get over 200% profit. Just start it. But I was like, my mother is a caterer. My mother had always told me that she never wanted me to go into the catering business because it's a really stressful business. And she said that was what gave her arthritis and blah blah blah. That is a very stressful business. She doesn't want me to get into it. So I always zeroed it from my mind. So thinking about it after some time, I feel like God was pointing me in that direction because I am so good at it. He was pointing me there, telling me, go and do this, go and do this, go and do this. And I was saying, no, 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 no. It's too stressful. I'm too cool. I'm too fresh. I'd rather the one where, I am like psychedelic and yada, 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 yada. And just like the fish swallowed Jonah, he just swallowed the event planning business. Uh, or swallowed me and vomited me in front of the frying pan. Because if I didn't do that breakfast for Nika and post it on social media, like everything just happened. It's almost like there was a prompting. Okay, do this for your husband. Okay, and then ask vendors, see how much they're charging. Now buy waffle machine. Now take a picture. Now post it on social media. It's almost as if something was just leading me. It felt like a wave, thinking about how, because I mean, who used to say that? I could have just said, why am I going to stress myself to do that? I have the money, let me just pay for this thing. But somehow I feel like God was leading me in that direction. He was leading me in that direction and he was telling me, go, go. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. And this is not necessarily because event planning was not for me, or is not for me, because I very much still want to plan events actively. Um Actively, that's as frequently, because I love to think that's my first love. But this is to say that sometimes God is pointing you in a direction. And if only we would just listen to what it is that He's saying to us, maybe we would be able to find what, you know, our life's purpose is. Now, I'm still on the journey to discovering myself, but I feel like if I was a bit too headstrong, I might not have gotten to where I am with, that business. Um, Basically, that's what this is about. So I don't know what it is that you're going through right now in your life and how it's making you feel. If you feel like, this is what I should be doing, but why is it that I'm being drawn to something else? Maybe you should listen to gravity, and follow that calling, because it might just be God. I don't think you stand anything to lose apart from time, a little bit of time, in venturing into something that you see that as far, you have to be good at it. You have to be good at it, because I didn't know up until I launched the first tray that this is God that was talking to me. It's almost as if, so this was how everything happened. I don't even think the business would have been what the business was if Onyeka was in Lagos. I have been saying it, and I can beat my chest to say it anywhere. Because if he was in Lagos, I would have focused on being a good wife, being a mom. There's this comfort that comes with your spouse just being by your side. But I was lonely because he wasn't around. I was not getting any money and I was bored. So once that seed was planted by God, it grew because I had clear space to think about it. So that's another thing that I'm going to say. Maybe you need a bit of time. I'm not saying you should go and leave your family. Oh. I'm just saying sometimes step away from the noise and try to see, what God is telling you to do, and then follow it. I hope that I'm making sense. But basically, what I'm trying to just say is that sometimes God is calling you through something else. And if only you would listen, you would be able to find, you know, what it is. Because that lockdown period would have been hell for me if I didn't have that business. Even if that business was made for only that period, it brought me through depression. I won't even lie to you. Because imagine me, got married at 25, gave birth to my first child a few months shy of turning 26. My husband is posted to Aba. We had just moved to a new house. My mom, of course, had done her mugu and gone back. My mother-in-law had done her part and gone back. So it was me, a 2, 3 months old, and a young nanny in a whole house. So at some point, I would even bring my nanny to come and sleep inside the room. So loneliness was real, boredom was real, and then the sadness, the fact that I felt like, why would God take, like, how am I going to navigate having this child in my whole family? My grandma, grandpa, uncles, aunties, everything. My child is the first grandchild. So I've not been with anybody that has just had a child. I had nobody to look up to, nothing to look up to. But God just did all of that in a way where needed to give me time to focus on that. I mean, He needed to plant that seed. And when He planted the seed, He needed to give me time to nurture it and bring it to where it could sustain even if my partner joined me. And that was how, I got to that place. So if I'm telling you about navigation, I would tell you to not be brute, to not be, maybe brute is not the word, to not be rigid, be fluid. And that's how I have been with life generally. I'm just generally a fluid person. If it pulls me in this direction, I go a bit, I might want perfection, that's for certain. I don't want to do it haphazardly. Like how I said, you know what, people were using floaters for their plastic. What I mean floaters, like those paper plates, or those plates that are like foam, styrofoam or something like that for their trays. And I was like, no, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to go to market. I'm going to get proper breakable plates, proper acrylic plates. I'm going to do a proper tray. I'm going to make sure that I'm not using plastic spoon. I'm using, spoon that even if it's disposable is. So all of that, yes. I mean, my perfection paralysis definitely reared its head a bit. But the truth is, God prepared it in such a way where I had enough time. I had the opportunity for the seed that he was planting to grow. And that was only because I listened, I hearkened to the prompting to do this and post it. So sometimes, I hope I'm making sense. Or even if you're not learning anything from the lesson that I'm saying, look at my journey in terms of how I moved from one place to another, and maybe you'll be able to pick a thing or two that you can relate with. But I just went with my feelings and how it was leading me. I followed the leading. I didn't do much with my head. I did a lot with how it was going. It felt like a wave, and it felt like I was just following it. No, do this. Now do this. As I followed it, things began to unfold, and the picture began to look clearer and clearer until I am where I am. Is the business a pinnacle? No, it's not where it can be, but is it out there? Is it sustainable? Is it something that has been of value? Does it have a purpose? Yes. And that was because I let myself let go of the fact that I could have died in that event space. You understand? I started, doing I don't even know what I probably would have been doing, to be honest, but I could have been sulking about the fact that I wasn't getting the kind of jobs I wanted to get, and probably now gone into full further depression. But instead of that, I just chose to not ignore that and not look at it as a lie. Always say that God strangled that business because I was pretty good at it, but I think He needed me to go somewhere else. So instead of dying in that space, saying, no, I must make it work, I don't care how, or crying about the fact that I'm not doing what I love to do, I followed the leading and the prompting of, the direction that He was taking me. And that is how, I got to where I am. And then the same thing with my food blogging business as well. As time went on, I felt like, okay, it's time to release this. And the moment I started it, He put His backing behind it as well. So, moral of all of this story is that sometimes God is calling and He needs you to be somewhere else from where you are. And you might be wondering why. Because you're good at what you're doing, because you like it, it's cool, it's whatnot. But sometimes He has other plans for you. He has a purpose other than one that you believe you are fulfilling. So if you just, follow the wave, it might lead you to your promised land. I hope I've been able to say, um, to pass a good message across. But anyway, just a shameless plug here. I'm going to talk about my businesses again. So I still have my events planning company. I have a breakfast company called It's by TKO. I have a food blog called The Kitchen Organizer, and I recently just launched a Christmas company called The Christmas Elves because I am crazy about Christmas. It's my absolute best time of the year, and I'm absolutely good at all things doing things that concern Christmas. So I decided to just, make money off the hobby and help people that would like to but don't have the craftsmanship. So yeah. I thought talking about translation would be easy, but I found out as I was talking about it, it was a bit hard to still explain the God part, like how I felt God was leading me. But I'm hoping that maybe as you watch this, I pray actually that as you watch this, He ministers to you how to get to the destination that He's leading you. Because I don't know if I did a good job in communicating it, but yeah. So now, having narrated how I got to where I am now, um, I will tell you one thing that really bothered me in all of this. Lately, or as I've gotten older, I have tried to shut out what I believe other people think of me. But for the most part of my life, I've always wondered, like, what would they think of me? Would people approve of this? Would people, um, basically, I always wondered, how people would perceive a lot of things. This is why I didn't also put out my event planning work then up until like really later. And people may not have known it, but I had business for a while before, like I said, before I put it out. So I've always kind of dealt with wondering how people would take certain things that I do. So as a result of that, all the while I could have gone into food, I didn't do it because I always wondered, like, they will say, how did this person that worked in the bank all of a sudden started planning events? How did she now start cooking food again? So I struggled with the fact that the industries were very wide apart and I felt like there was no relation. Something I struggled with internally is how can I link all these businesses? Am I not pulling myself in different directions? Won't it look as though I don't know what I'm doing? The fact that today you're a banker, tomorrow you're an event planner, next tomorrow you're cooking food. It just felt like anywhere belefice, that kind of thing. So I struggled with it for a while. And this is why even when people were doing word of mouth, even when I knew that I had the talent, who were telling me with their mouth that this, I would always shut it down because I was very conflicted about it for the longest time until God now did exactly what it is that He wanted to do. And I realized that it worked out just fine. Like anybody can think what they want to think, they can sit in their houses and judge, and maybe because I also always used to wonder with people. And I'll give you an example. Um, I have a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine that I met a few years back. And growing up, when I mean growing up, like coming through the years, she would always just do different things. She has sold houses, she has sold cars, she has done clothes. And then I'd always be looking at her, I'm like, how is she just doing all this? And today she's into real estate, tomorrow she's selling cars, next tomorrow she's selling clothes. And at some point she was, basically in an aspect of interior. And I'm like, what is it? But as she went on, I'm using her as a bit of case study, but as she went on in her current business now, she's flourishing absolutely well. Absolutely well. And the only thing that I think, or one thing that I think is a major factor in how well she's doing, you know, is the experience that she has. So even when she was selling clothes, she probably picked up marketing from there. When she was selling houses, she probably picked up confidence and whatever from there. When she was selling cars, she probably, so going through all of these many aspects that you think that in terms of the layman knowledge they don't link. Sometimes why God is passing you through those processes is because he needs you to pick some morals from them. He needs you to learn lessons. So it's not necessarily in the job itself. So it's not necessarily in what it is that you're doing. It's more about the things that you can learn on the job, more about the character that it builds in you, more about the um how it shapes you, basically. Because when I see how well she's doing now in her business, it makes sense, how she was sewing clothes then and dealing with artisans, and how she used to sell houses then and had a sweet mouth, and how she used to buy and sell cars and could negotiate. So all of those little traits that may have seemed, albeit inconsequential at the time, has now come together to make her into the business mogul that she is today. So, I mean, for me, I don't even think, like, for me, I feel like I still will be able to do all those many things that I want to do. It's just maybe with time, once God has matured me in one industry, He will now let me know how to, how that business can run on its own and I do, something else. But this is me now telling you that if you're going through different aspects in your life and you're wondering how will I be doing this, all of a sudden I'm doing this, but you're feeling that prompting strongly, there's a chance that God is the one leading you. So I won't say play by ear, but you know go, be inquisitive, you know, because the only thing that you're going to regret is not starting early, like I said the last time. So just try it and see if it works. I'm not saying quit your big paying job or your good paying job and go and, do a hobby that you're not really sure about. But sometimes you just feel it in your spirit. You know when, and I was listening to this pastor on Instagram. Oh, I've forgotten his name. He's so good. And he was saying that sometimes when he hears something, he doesn't necessarily say it's the Holy Spirit that's telling him. So he will try to like throw the dice. So maybe ask a few people, see what they think, or hear if maybe people are saying the same thing that he has just heard in his head. And that when he realizes somehow that it's a general consensus, and at that point it begins to come to him that maybe, it's actually the Holy Spirit that is talking to me. So you can just be on somebody just say, man, you're good at this shoemaking thing. How about you try it? Another day you go out again, somebody says to you that, oh my God, your shoes are so pretty. I wish I knew someone that could make them for me. Another day you go out again and somebody is trying to take a picture of your shoe. All of those little things, it's a prompting to maybe explore this option. There might be something there for you, and if you fail at it, it doesn't mean that you're a failure in person, like Tara said. It just means that that venture has failed, but at least you tried. You didn't fail to try. You tried and it failed. Ha! Wait, wait, wait. Did you guys hear that? He just yeah, 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 yeah. Say pandara balegore. Do you see what I just did right now? See, you didn't fail to try. You tried and it failed. And you now know, but that's a punchline, Sha. But let's keep it moving. But at that point, you now know that, what, I tried this and this is what I got out of it. But in your heart, you know that you have given it your best. And then if God is actually leading you in that direction, He would, you know, sponsor it, for lack of a better word. Don't be a Jonah. Don't go and have coconut head. Because the fish of poverty, not poverty, but the fish of something shall swallow you and shall vomit you in front of where you should have gone. Like in my case, it was the fish of joblessness. I eventually now swallowed me so I refused to hear what God was saying and put me in the direction that I should have been going. I believe I should have been going. And the truth is, my story is still unfolding. So today, this is where I am. Tomorrow, who knows? He might lead me into something else. I don't know. I know that God has called us to a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. But what I cannot tell you is if that purpose is just one thing. I don't know that part of the Bible that says that, we just come and do one thing and, go like that. I believe that some people are actually multi-potentialites, some people are multifaceted, and for God to give you all those many skills, you know, He definitely thinks that you can make good of those things. So don't limit yourself. Don't make it seem as if this is the only direction I will go run in it. You know, be versatile is a good word, but it's not the word I was looking for. But you know, throw it out there and see what comes back to you. See what sticks, and in all of this too, of course, you should ask God for direction. But I don't think that it's only one direction that someone can go into. I feel like there's so many other things. I didn't lose my skills for event planning. I just know that I also have the ability to own a restaurant in the future. So I can own that restaurant and still own an event planning company that has a Christmas business under it. And I can still have a cooking show. So the thing is, I don't think that I just have to be one person. And I struggled with it a lot because I'm like, every great person that I know is one thing, or at least related. Beyonce is a musician and an actress. And this one is a show host and a radio. So everything just has to link. But who said so? Who made those rules? And even people that are making those rules, really, do they really know what they're doing? What do you stand to lose if you actually just try? Follow the wave. That's how I have navigated thus far. And I don't think that I'm doing badly. Or at least I have a certain satisfaction in my heart that whatever it is that God has put in my hand, I have tried to use it to see what can come out of it. If it doesn't come out of it, that's okay. At least I tried it. So I'm really hoping that you learned something. I don't know if I was able to communicate how, in thinking about this thing, it seemed very cut through. Hello? Yeah. So anyway, guys, Oyinka is about to come to the room, so I need to wrap this up and get down to business. But so thinking about this, it seemed like it was very direct. Like I'll just come and explain it. But as I'm now explaining it, I see that it's a bit complex to put in words. So what I would just say is, I pray that as you watch this video, it ministers to you. Like God ministers to you the direction that He wants to take you to. So take you to and through. So I talk really fast. So sometimes I just but yeah, I pray that even when I don't think I'm passing a lesson, you have learned something. So even in just talking, maybe you've picked some things here and there as well that would help give you some clarity. But in terms of navigating, I'll tell you, go with the wave, especially when there's a prompting. So sometimes it's not even like, for me, people had been saying it again, like I said, saying it. But then it seems like God just said, you know what, now is the time. And He just started pushing me, pushing me, pushing me, moving me. One thing led to another, one thing led to another. And I got to where I am right now with it. So sometimes follow the leading, follow the waves, just go with the flow of how it's of the follow the prompting. Me, it started with, do a birthday for your husband. As you're doing the birthday, do have a theme. I've never had a theme before in my life. Okay, I got the theme. Look for vendor. Okay, I saw vendors. It was so expensive. Buy a waffle machine. Collect plates. Okay, do it like this. Take a picture of it. Post it. Now people start asking, okay, go to the market, buy plate. And just like that, just step by step, the whole picture came together. So I hope that you get clarity in what you're looking for. And this is basically how I have been able to navigate, and even with other aspects of my life as well. I just follow the prompting, I follow the leading. So I pray about it, but I'll not tell you that when I prayed, I waited in that place of prayer. I can't lie to you. I won't say I waited in that place of prayer and then, but I can just be walking and then just be like, you know what, okay, do this. Or sometimes I actually just follow the leading of life. Like it's not even anything that is extra complicated where it's like, oh, and light shone and the Bible spoke to me. I just actually go with the flow of how things are progressing. And more often than not, it has taken me to the destination or to where I need to be. So I pray that this video ministers to you. I pray that it ministers to your spirit and you get clarity or figure out how it is you want to get to where you're going. But don't limit yourself. What do you stand to lose? Okay, they say you did this and then you failed, but at least you attempted to do it. Yeah, and don't think that any experience you're getting now is a waste, because if God's hand is really in the matter, you never will know when um all of those experiences will be called to action in your life, and it would all make sense. So thank you so much for watching. Today is a bit too serious. I'll try to make the next ones like more chill and whatnot. But thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. I am so happy to put this video out there. It now became a bit more technical than I was hoping it to be, but I hope that with my story, you were able to get a thing or two. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.